Ground.
Can't hear it, don't worry.
There we go. Oh, good. Excellent. Sorry about everybody. Hello and welcome to another episode of Disgustingly Resilient Podcast. Apologies. I hit the go live button and then Streamlabs said, hey, your drivers aren't up to date. Go update them. So I was like, great. So I had to go and do that. So apologies for being a couple minutes late there. But yeah, here we are again, 2 days in a row, because a little something has happened today, hasn't it, guys?
Has it?
A little something, yeah.
What's happened?
It's one of those balanced data slates, Steve.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that's why probably there were 6 billion messages in the Discord then.
Yeah, that's probably why. Yeah, more than likely. More than likely, I had a fair few messages there.
I think so. Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, obviously today we're going to go through some of the changes. Regardless of whether we got changed too much or not, obviously the changes do affect the overall game. So we can talk about what we're expecting, you know, what we think is going to be strong, and our opinions on the data slate. Because I know we've got some strong opinions between us. Some of us are more happy with the slate than others. And well, yeah, we'll sort of get into it. And obviously, use the chat can obviously get involved and let us know as well. I'm going to just check what this chat box isn't working. But yeah, for anything from you guys, like on initial reaction, obviously we catched up with you yesterday, so I don't really we have too much catching up to do. But
I mean, we could just quickly summarise the Death Guard changes because I think I'm probably going to take about 30 seconds. Nurglings, obviously, were breaking the game. Thank God that Nurglings have gone back to 40 points. I mean, you know, now the Nurgling sort of like oppression has finished. We can all breathe a sigh of relief.
Okay, I know we're joking, but I genuinely don't understand that one. I genuinely don't get it.
I think it's because in the Bellicor attachment, there's a build you can make where they are a bit oppressive because it's a -1 to wound. Toughness is higher thing. So they're doing it in response to that, I think, because you can go a bit too far with them. Whereas in our book, which is the other source of Nurglings, why would you ever take them when Poxwalkers exist? I don't even see a reason why you'd take them the Demon's attachment unless you're trying to unlock the full re-rolls, which maybe that's some spice. Maybe I just missed some stuff in that detachment, but it's obviously that's a conversation for another day, innit? But there's a couple of other things. I mean, do you guys want to pick one each?
So
I was going to say at the top, like I'm very happy to say this. I am totally happy with all the changes for us. I'm just going to say that I'm happy that rapid ingress was probably misworded in that. That's fine. I didn't think anything needed to change at this point. Personally, I was like, the game is shaking itself out. I know we have differing opinions on that across the group, but yeah, from my side, I was like, I'm happy, very happy with where it landed. Apart from what's happened to Don.
Yeah, I mean, me and Don.
But Don does say $7.77 super chat. Thank you, Don. He does say Crab Lord says crabs are fine.
Oh, okay, I'm good. I'm good to hear that because I'm looking at dropping the two out my list at the moment because I just don't think. I don't think they're going to function anymore. Is the reality.
I'm on your side. Well, I think that unit is dead as fuck. But I mean, hey, prove us wrong. I'm more than happy to prove them wrong.
I also, in Don's defence, though, I do think it's a terrain thing in the UK because we are just elves. We have so many channels that you just can't fit that base in. Like even some UK tournaments where they cap the centre, you won't be able to fit it. You won't be able to walk the centre of the board. But in GW terrain, you would definitely be able to move them across there, as we experienced at Lords of War. It's a lot more open space. Yeah. So if in the US, if you're playing on GW, I don't think it's as doom and gloom. But in the UK, where we're all corridors of elves, it's a bit more like a maze, and the movement is a lot more restricted through those channels.
100%.
So I think that's probably just terrain format, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. But thank you, Don, for the donation, and we'll get to that point what he's on about there in a second. But just very quickly, a bit of housekeeping. Thank you. Firstly, and if you are here and you're new, maybe hello, welcome to Disgustingly Resilient Podcast, Death Guard focused competitive channel. And we're talking about the data slate today. So if you do enjoy the content, please feel free to leave it a like and a subscribe. Consider becoming a Plague Marine member. You get access to our Discord, you get access to stuff like Plague Surgery, if you're a Blight Lord and stuff, and it just helps support the channel. And we have a really awesome community. Like we have channels for every single detachment, and they're all super active. I was debating not making the channels because I was worried that there wouldn't be too much talking on them. But no, there is the dedicated fans for every detachment, and those chats are always busy every day, so that's cool to see. But yeah, so back to where we were. So I disagree with Dave. I am very pissed off about the Death Shroud change because I just spent about 6 hours making a fucking video on how to do tricks with rapid ingress with Death Shroud, which is now dead. So Probably
Okay,
my
fair
own
enough.
fault. Probably my own fault. Probably should have saw this coming. But there were really cool tricks you could do, like rapid ingressing to restore like
So many good tricks.
like to heroic to heroic.
Guess what I spent half a day talking about in the masterclass.
Yeah.
For Vanguard. What you do with Death Shroud. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always thought it was busted. I was even dubious if you could do that. I know you could rules as written, but to me it always seemed like an oversight. So
it has been corrected.
I thought we might get to keep it because we do have like it's not like Inceptors who just get to like come in. Like we had to have the afflicted caveat, so I thought maybe they'd let us have it because demons kept it. Demons can still do it. But it is what it is. Honestly.
Can they?
Yes.
Oh, can Rapingus in the Shadow of Bellicor, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But all things genuinely considered, it really isn't that big of a deal. It's a slight nerf.
Taliban can still do it.
Taliban can still do it
with our demons.
Oh right, yeah.
But it's not, honestly, it's really not that big of a deal. Like it's fine.
Nope.
You're most likely looking to use Death Shroud 6-inch deep strike to just go for a charge anyway, so it's fine. It's not the biggest deal in the world. And then the biggest we've got base gate. We're going to call it base gate. So the first problem with base gate,
got some visual references to show people why it's a problem.
But before we get to the real base gate of the Defiler, I want to talk about the unsung hero, the Lord of Contagion, who was sold as a 50mm, then is now only sold with a 40mm base on Lord Felfius, has been ruled by WTC and UKTC to be on a 40mm base, is sold with a 40mm base now, and GW came out today with an official declaration that it has a 50mm base. So if you were out there and you ripped off your Lord of Contagion off its base, I warned you, I told you not to do it, and if anyone tries to make me play a 40mm Lord of Contagion, I was refusing
to anyway. Yep,
exactly.
So is it 50mm now?
Yes,
it's 50mm.
Despite it being sold with 40mm.
I think mine is a 50mm, yeah.
Mine is a 50mm, and I was refusing to play it otherwise. It's like he is a character, he's in Terminator armor, like putting him on a 40mm base would have made it way too easy to get him into gaps. Like I wasn't changing it.
Yeah, so I mean, but like
a bit like how Will refused to do 6-inch deep strike on rapid ingress. I would refuse to play 40mm Lord of Contagion.
Yeah, so I'm very happy about that one. But on the flip side, one of our units has unfortunately been given a base. And that is now on the GW official basing guide. The Defiler, now despite not being sold with one at all, I have a new in-box one down there. It has no base in that box. Is now required on a base. But not just any base. What size base, guys?
1600?
160 mil. Do you want me to show you? So this is an objective marker. This is the base. That is an actual base because I bought it for a soul grinder. Wow. So that is exactly the size.
So rather large.
That's why it's a problem.
It is over 6 inches.
That's why it's a problem. I mean, so yeah.
I like the idea of it just deep striking onto the objective marker and just you can't really put anything on it.
It's so easy to screen out. There's most gaps on most UK tournaments that won't even fit. Like it's wider than a flipping Land Raider.
Yeah.
Like I don't know where the Land Raider is, but I could get one and put it on. Like so, it's gone from the other reference. So if you use the card, if you've modelled your Defiler like a crab. So I'm doing it backwards like
Yours actually are modelled like crabs, yeah.
Yeah, my model. You could pretty much get it on that space, and it would stand up so it wasn't modelling for advantage. Then
Will's doing dead spider.
Then that's how much the base just got wider. Like I'm not. There's no trick there. Look, that is touching there. It just got that much wider.
Okay.
So that's why here in the UK with some of the corridors you can look on UKTC and other terrain, it shows you the measurements. Why we're a little bit sad. Well, I'm a little bit sad.
So I was looking at quarters deployment on UKTC. There is only one place it can deploy, and that is in the open on the very front of the corner. It can't go down any of the angles to get out. Amazing. And the funny thing is, because the base is I think it's like 6.7 inches, something like that long. Even if you have the walk-through wall stratagem, you basically need to be humping the wall before you start your move to clear it, which means you're going to get shot for a turn, or you're advancing, which means you can't then do anything. So, unless you give it assault, but then you're talking 2 CP just to get a Defiler through a fucking wall, which you're not going to bother doing. Other problem with it, I know what you're out there, you're saying to me, everybody, Aiden, put it in reserves. Well, here's the problem. When you're coming from strategic reserves, you have to be wholly within 6 inches of a board edge. Guess what? You can't be wholly within 6 inches when your base is bigger than 6 fucking inches. So
I think there is an FAQ
there
if your
is.
base
There is.
yeah.
But the turn it comes in, if your base can't physically fit, it is not allowed to do absolutely anything on the turn it comes in. It can't shoot, it can't charge, it can't do anything. So
I had missed that.
It can come on, but it's a paperweight.
Yeah, so the only way to actually make it work is to rapid ingress, and I'm going to tell you now, if you are my opponent and you're telling me I'm going to put a 160mm base in reserves, I'm going to make sure that it can only come in from certain areas, because again, it's massive. I'm just going to screen it every single time. And on turn 3, it's going to walk into your deployment zone, and I'm going to leave it there. It's really uncalled for. I understand the idea for it because it could get a bit... We've all had that discussion where we've played a Defiler and our opponent's like, wait, you can charge to any point in the model and stuff like that. But the thing is, we're not even just talking about the Defiler getting nerfed here. The Defiler now nerfs your army. You could have infantry stand under and around it before. Now you can't. You've got a massive base you've got to work around. Infantry cannot walk through the Defiler anymore. The base is 6 and bit inches. We move 5. So you can't just walk through the leg like you used to and, go across your Defiler. Now you've got to clear an entire base. Which
is bigger than our move.
So really funny. If you have a piece of terrain like this, Will, and you had an enemy unit just here above this bit and your Defiler's on this side, before you could charge the corner, then pay a pivot cost, and then basically permanently hump the corner to get around the corner for very minimal amount of distance. And that you could get that to about a 7-inch charge to go around a corner. Now, because you've got to clear the entire 6.7 base upwards first, and then go left.
Then
what it would be measured 4 inches is now a 10-inch charge, which is so funny.
Stupid. I mean, the one thing I would say is I've been saying for a while, Defilers are way too cheap at 165, unless they always knew this base was coming and 165 to represent another base. Now, I don't think it's completely unplayable if your terrain format allows it or whatever. I think 165 is now fine for them. I definitely would not pay any more. I'll put it this way. That base just changes the model so much. I think that 165 is now the fair points for it. So maybe it's one of these things, and maybe it does seem like a model that is approaching, legend status in the sense of I was almost amazed I didn't legend it this edition. So maybe this is just what they're sort of leading towards. I don't know. It's frustrating me, but it's also also kind of
I just see it's frustrating because to me it is just an unnecessary thing that makes a unit feel near unplayable. That is just bad for the game. But the thing that annoys me more, and I'm going to say this, Dave, I wouldn't mind if the argument is that the base itself was to stop weird situations going where people can get in between it, charge it, things like that, and make it fussy. But we have the same model, a Triarch Stalker, which has all the weird little fiddly legs and stuff for Necrons, and that is still hull. That is still measured to hull. Doesn't have a base. Doesn't make any sense to me.
I also have to say within it, what's not the vault, not the one that's also on this kind of base, but the one that's the one with the katana in it. The one that's massive.
Oh, Tessie Vault.
Huge.
Tesseract Vault, yeah.
If you're going to update the person, Tesseract Vault should be on this base size, GW. Put it on this base size, not the flipping small oval that's about the size of a dreadnought. It does my head in so much, so it's this huge, almost 2-foot models.
I'm going to say, Will definitely plays with Defilers, so don't sit there saying this is takes from people that don't play Defilers. We play Defilers, mate. We've tried them.
Yeah, I've been running Defilers.
We play UKTC
I was
all the
high
time.
on Defilers. It's a UKTC terrain set on. It's not. It's on Games Workshop would be fine. You don't see that in the UK at all. The teams tournament we and Aiden played at, that's a 1 in a million. You see it on if you go online, look at UKTC. It's that and variations of that basically, and some house terrains. So it's a UK. It's probably a UK problem. She's laughing at Dave. Just had a cat scratch.
Through the window. She knows we're streaming. That's why.
Hey, Reese Davila, thank you so much for the gift of membership. Reese was on my team at the team. He's the best Knights player in the world. He's a very funny Kermit the Frog themed army as well, and he also won best sporting player at the event. So thank you so much, Reese, and good to see you here, mate.
Well, just to remind everyone, this is a Dataslate review, not the Defiler review. So
I'm going to move you on, boys. Let's move past the Defiler. I'm trying to think. I don't think there was anything else that affected Death Guard was. I mean, I know the CP rule. Did that just affect Ultramarines specifically, or does it also affect
Hive
Time and the
Tyrants?
Demon
But
Prince?
no, we're all fine. We're the same. That is literally all the core rule changes. That there was no real core rule changes, to be honest. So that's all there is actually for Death Guard. So we actually come to like the rest of the meta, which is where the discussion actually gets more interesting than that. Our walls are bloody. You're not 4 inches tall.
Before we move on,
yes,
because obviously I think we can address some of the rumours that it kind of almost become fact, like there was going to be no re-rolls on Overwatch. That isn't in there.
No.
So if anyone's asking in the chat or anything, because it had come to the point where I almost expected that. The other rumour was that you're only going to be allowed to get 1 CP a turn, so even if you had like a free one. So if you
rumours untrue.
Yeah, and that was going around with as much of the rumours that seemed to have come to fruition. Those seem to be tagged on the bottom. Those did not come to fruition. As Aiden said, the only core rules change are the ones that were mentioned. So one I've mentioned or ones did not come to fruition. So if people were expecting them, don't worry, or worry they're not there, depending on which side of the argument you're on.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll start with, let's just quickly go over like armies that got like slightly nerfed but aren't really like big, not really worth making a big point about. So we got Orcs got a bit nerfed, and shooting seems a bit weird.
Yeah, let's get to stuff that doesn't matter.
Orcs already kind of got with hurting a little bit, so to see them get nerfs is a little odd, but fair enough. We've got
Imperial Agents.
Imperial
no
Agents.
Real
Who cares? Like genuinely, like, no one really cares at all about that. Genius Sealer Cult's got a tiny points drop. They'll basically be the same as before. Astral Militarum actually got hit a bit.
I want to just pause on GSC for a second. GSC were an army that were on my list to get nerfed, by the way. Like, if you play them in a competent player's hands, they are like
they're
brutal.
good.
I mean, it's like when you talk about
Will doesn't work for Games Workshop. Like, I hear Will wants to nerf everything.
Well, they're the one where like I thought the thing they just need a little bit less stuff, and in the sense they've got more stuff. Like other people, like I noticed in another podcast, there's someone on our team who plays them regularly, so I play against them quite often, you see. And I noticed on other podcasts after the previous Dataslate, like Art of War, for example, mentioned it. I think StatCheck might have as well, that like they were surprised they didn't get a look at. So this time round, I thought they were going to get a look at, but instead they've actually got buffs. So if anyone also has a good GSC player in their area will know what I'm talking about. I think that one's a little bit kind of it's a head scratcher. I thought they were going to go the other way on that, so that's why I wanted to stop there, just because to me it seemed a bit out of the blue, if that makes sense. But maybe it's average Joe who isn't as skilled pulling them down, because they are a high skill army to really sort of get the most out of. I will acknowledge that.
Yeah, so what we'll do is then, rather than sitting and messing around with the armies that like barely changed, like Guard got a bit of a nerf, but honestly they'll be okay, but it's just got a bit of a nerf.
And plus
let's talk about the things that got like smashed. So let's talk about Eldar. Eldar, typically a kind of annoying matchup for Death Guard. A lot of people say like they're a counter to Death Guard. I don't think they're a straight up counter.
I don't think. I agree.
They're annoying because obviously they are like the antithesis of what we are. They're very fast and fragile, but man, they took Ynnari out back. They really took Ynnari out back. So for those who don't know, Ynnari has had their detachment nerfed 4 ways. So the lethal intent, which was where they could make a move after you'd killed any units in the shooting phase at the end of the shooting phase, it was really annoying, was really powerful. Let them play primary dead easy, let them get into really good positions to attack you. Now you can only use the move on infantry and mounted models, so that's already a nerf, so the vehicles can't do it now anymore, or monsters or anything like that. The models have to be within 6 inches of a unit that was destroyed, whereas before it was literally anywhere. And they can only make a normal move of d6 plus 1. So it used to be a full move, you could literally go 17 inches, and you can't use battle focus on it anymore. So that is pretty brutal, and kind of just like puts Ynnari kind of in the dirt. Now, this actually goes back to them playing more like aspect hosts and things like that, and they do still have some tricks. I don't think it's going to be like dead, like as a faction. I think Eldar still got plenty of pivot room, but Ynnari being dead is kind of interesting for what it does for the game.
It's interesting for the whole meta.
Yeah, because they were like they were the other top dog at the moment, and they were keeping like they're very good at like murdering like Marines, for example, and now that's been sort of taken out back. There's a little bit more play for armies to sort of rise and shine. Now, on top of that, they've all stuck points nerfs. So Autarchs, Fire Dragons, Howling Banshees, Warlock Conclave, Yin Khan, Ynnari, Incubi, and Archon, all have points. So
fire prisms, walkers, spears.
They got the triple
everything.
tap. They got the GW triple tap. They got the detachment rule nerf. They have
Triple tap, to be fair.
They got points nerfs, and also the Ynnari models like Yvrain also got nerfed. So that detachment is either going to need to be played extremely well now, or I think what more likely is going to happen is they're just going to drop it and go play Aspect Host. Which is, you know, sense. And this is the thing. This is the thing that we don't want to happen. I know everyone's screaming for Death Guard to be killed right now, but this is the dreaded triple nerf, and we see it here. And this is what I don't want to happen to Death Guard. So when people commenting on our video and saying like you're all coping, you're just asking for 10 points point raises, yes. But the reason we ask for small changes at a time is so this doesn't happen. Because there are people out there that just play Ynnari because they're like, Ynnari weren't running the cutting edge thing. And now that detachment's basically took out back and shot. And we don't want it to happen to an entire book, as we saw with like Sisters, for example. So with Eldar going down, potentially, well, Ynnari anyway, that's something we've obviously got to think about in the meta. I mean, how did you guys play against Ynnari at all?
I've played this a few times, yeah.
I've played it a few times, yeah.
How did you find it?
It was complex. I mean, I played in the Chaos Knights once at a team's tournament, and that was much easier than it was with Death Guard because the indirect just sort of made life a lot easier. But yeah, I played them with Death Guard, and it was quite hard. It was just hard to just sort of chase them around the board. Like it just seemed like wherever they went, there was always, they were always just sort of just out of reach, if that makes sense. Yeah, they were. Yeah, it was just one of them games.
It was very difficult to interact with unless you were just like you had indirect everywhere.
Yeah, definitely.
PvZ dead.
Yeah.
So I mean, with them going down, we'd like to see a shift back. Now, my actual worry for this is we see a shift back to the one where they have like 3 reactive moves in a turn, and they just have the vehicle hopping in and out. Because I actually hated that more than Ynnari. Ynnari actually kind of like stayed on the board and I could shoot them. The triple.
Is that Seer Council?
No, it's the whatever replaced their index on Warhost, I think it is.
Because Seer Council's the other one I've heard people talk about as potentially being another pivot for them. I don't know what it does. I just know it's just a name that I've heard people talk about.
Okay, fair enough.
Who else should we look at, guys?
We've got Emperor's Children taking a nerf. We'll talk about it because it's a Chaos faction.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So, Emperor's Children I've played against a few times. They are quite a heavy pressure army. They like to get on top of you real quick. Pin you in, do a lot of damage to you.
Classic Emperor's Children, pin you in, get on top of you, yeah.
That kind of stuff, yeah. They've took some points nerfs, so their Winged Demon Prince going up to 200 per Demon Prince now. That thing was kind of obnoxious. It was very annoying. The problem is that was doing a lot of heavy lifting for him. That was doing a lot of work. Speaking
people were running
Sam,
2 usually
all 3.
as well.
Sam was running 3.
Yeah, all 3 Sam.
So
again, they were quite a copy-paste list. The Emperor's Children, weren't they? It's gone up by 100 points, basically.
Yeah, but the problem I have is that with this going up 20 points, each Demon Prince, 10 points, Lucius Eternal, and even the Noise Marines got 10 points, that codex is not deep enough to pivot to a different...
There's not enough options,
I think it's killed them.
The problem is they didn't give any compensation buffs, which is going to piss me off. I'm going to go on a rant on about that in a bit soon, because there are units right now that are not being taken competitively at all. Flawless Blades, for example, they're like iconic, like they're elite, it's supposed to be their version like Death Shroud in terms of iconic unit. Doesn't get played at all.
People aren't using them, yeah.
And did they decide, okay, we're going to nerf all the good stuff. Shall we make Flawless Blades playable? Nah. Why? Just come on. They can't even have Forge Fiends or Predators. They can't pivot into any of that. So I feel a bit bad for Emperor's Children players because I genuinely, if we were playing this right now and we had their model range, where do you go with it? Or do you just keep the same build, which Sam has been saying? I think he just cuts the enhancements, cuts a character, like a Cacophonist, and just eats the points. That's all he can do. He can't pivot to a different build. He's just going to play the same build and cut some stuff. And I think when we see some of the other armies that have been buffed, there are going to be more armies that do Emperor's Children's melee pressure jail just far better than them coming up. I actually feel a bit sorry for our friends in pink. I don't know. Do you guys feel like they went too far? Or do you think they were pretty decent on this one?
I think you nailed it. I don't think they went necessarily too far. I think some of the points changes were actually justified on those units, but it's in a book that doesn't have any other options to pivot to.
Yeah.
And I wonder if I think all those units in a vacuum are fair. For example, they were all a little bit undercosted. especially because Noise Marines can be taken as allies in CSM, so you have to adjust those points correctly in their other uses.
Yeah.
The Demon Prince is still only 5 points more than our Demon Prince, and their Demon Prince is still better.
For sure.
But it's like you said, the problem is, where do you pivot? Like, do you just drop Lucius and then, but then do you have points to do anything else? I don't know. The book just needs more units, and I think it's a shame. I think it's a release problem with that. I just don't understand why they didn't get something like, just give them cultists, just FAQ that they've got cultists back and it was an error that you got, or I don't know, maybe if they've got like one of the boxes coming in, kill team or something that's going to be specifically for them, maybe that's to come. But as it stands, I think Emperor Children, without having played them, or without really even playing against them, from what I can see of them, looking from a third party's point of view, I think they've become a 3-2 army, and they'll only get a 4-1 in the hands of a really skilled player, and they'll be sort of capped out of the 5-Os because they're just. That's how I think that's to me is quite a severe nerf. The fact that you've made the best build go from like 5-0 in the hands of a skilled player to 3-2, I think, based on the other things in the game having either stayed the same or gone up, like, that's my opinion, but maybe people will prove me wrong. I
still think forward's perfectly viable for him. I think that they've like, just the army rule of fall back, advance, charge, shoot, blah blah, do all that stuff is really, really powerful. Like, I saw the power of it. There is still bets out there. I just think the biggest problem they're going to have right now is that they've gone up in costs. They are just kind of Marines a lot of the time. Like, a lot of the profiles are just 2 wounds, 3 up save, which means that we can just murder it. I've played against them quite a few times. They do die real quick. The problem is, I think that we've got 2 armies coming out, one being Space Wolves, one being like Blood Angels, looking at, that are going to do probably the job Emperor Children, maybe a little bit slower, but do it better and without the ability to just fall over to a clapback. Because Emperor Children genuinely do fall. Paladin Prince, they can be a little annoying to kill, but not the worst thing. You just should grenade them, tank shock them. But I worry for them in those kind of matchups where they just get hit by like Blood Angels and stuff, because they do hit real hard, don't get me wrong. But I just don't know, and especially with the the Dark Angel attachment coming out, which is like might give them quite a bit of durability. I think they might struggle into these kind of matchups. I mean, it's a nerf,
Yeah, it is. They're just even looking at Demon Prince, Lucius, Noise Marines, and Pledge of Unholy Fortitude is 70 odd points just in one of each of those areas. So then, is Fulgrim's 20 points up?
It's exactly 100 points.
So it's come down a bit. Yeah.
No,
so,
I don't think Fulgrim sees.
Yeah, 365, 385. I just you're right in that the problem is that there's already stuff out there that was dealing with it quite well. It wasn't broken. So I actually would stand by the same thing in that it hasn't been out that long. There's tons of stuff changing. Did it need to get hit that much? I'm not sure, because I think even if it had probably stayed where it was with a load of new stuff in the meta and the points changes they've just done in the balance data slate, I think you would have seen its win rate come down anyway.
Yeah, I just would like to have seen like I said, the flawless blades at least. I'd love to have seen them just come up, like, just to counter. So basically, I want these nerfs not to necessarily be like just nerfs. I wanted them to just be like, hey guys, we see you spamming Demon Princes and a lot of Exultants and Infractors. Like, we're gonna nerf them, but we're gonna give you a reason to experiment with the other units. Like, and they didn't do that. Apart from Fulgrim, but Fulgrim is a rules problem. Like, he's just not that good. Like,
Fulgrim has this problem.
He also has a base problem as well, but he's just also...
He's the same reason Defilers are struggling is partly why Fulgrim needs ignores walls, something like that.
He should have just phantasm through walls. Hate to use that term, but like he should be able to do that. He should be able to do that. The fundamental issue is there's not enough models in the range to build a different army.
Yeah. But... So one thing I would say, just before we skip on, there is a second Emperor's Children build, because like I say, I bought the models and just didn't do anything with the boxes still up there, that Lee and VSL was championing, where it's the demon detachment. I know that detachment is also seeing some really good results. We just don't see as much of it, because I think it's a bit more niche. So I guess people have to pivot towards that. Because like I say, I know it's got like demonette spam and stuff. I know Lee and VSL did I think it was Art of War, where he talked about with one of the other French, with someone else. I say one of the other French guys. I know he's not French. But yeah, so go hunt that out if you want to find it, but maybe that's going to become more prevalent. I don't know, but that seems to be the only other option that they've got, is maybe to pivot in that demon detachment and take advantage of demonettes and stuff to sort of get some cheap units. But then it's a completely different play style, and if you've just bought in your Emperor and you've just painted everything, to then go and have to build and buy and paint 50, 60 demonettes on top of what you've just done is pretty annoying, because by the time you've done them, the next slate might be out, and then it might be, it might be sort of other things have changed. So I can see the frustration for an Emperor's Children point of view.
So let's talk about the Boys in Blue, because Boys in Blue were arguably, now this is annoying because I think Space Marines' win rate is always hidden. Their actual win rate and how good they are is always hidden because, I mean, no offense to you out there, there's a lot of shit Space Marine players. And there are a lot of people that also just don't want to play the best build for Space Marines. They want to take their White Scars or, they want to take their Imperial Fist. They just want to play Space Marines. And you all get lumped under Space Marines. But Gladius, Ultramarines, with Calgar, Guilliman, Vindicators, Reaper, Ballista, all that stuff, was and is bullshit. It is. If anyone's played against it, facing 30 command points in a game is absolute horseshit. So, they have been toned down a little bit. So, Calgar now will only give you command points if he is the Warlord. This means that if you run Guilliman with him, Guilliman has to be the Warlord due to his rule, because he's the Primarch.
Yep.
Guilliman and Calgar are basically they're a non-bow now. They don't go together. Now, what is annoying about this in a slight way, though, is that Calgar has dropped points to compensate for this, and I don't think that was needed because
he didn't need to drop.
Like
he's a sledgehammer in combat as well.
Oh yeah, he's
with
a monster.
That Matrix Guard squad, that like those storm shields always think will way more force than they should do.
Because here's the thing. You've dropped him points because you're thinking, oh, but he won't get his rule now. He's with Guilliman. What about the builds that don't run Guilliman? He's just got cheaper for no reason. Or here's the thing as well, and
he's in all of them.
You also. The thing that annoys me is you've dropped points on something that was not really a nerf. It should never have existed in the first place. No one should have 30 CP. You don't need... But we always talk about this, like Space Marines, and especially another silver certain army likes to get a lot of... This is what I mean about compensation buffs.
Yeah.
EC get nerfed, get nothing. Marines get changed to not have a ridiculous bullshit amount of CP, and they get compensation buffs of, oh, here you go. And it wasn't just Calgar who got a buff, because Guilliman now also does not give out a 3-strat every turn. It's battle round like everyone else, because the Hive Tyrants also changed to the same as everyone else now.
Yeah.
So that enough would have been totally fine. You didn't have to do anything. But of course, they also had to bring Mr. Guilliman down 25 points.
He did not need to be brought down.
Too much, 25 points. If they could do a token 5 points, even then we could have moaned about, but 25 points is too much. They're moving close to having a whole other scout unit in a build that was already problematic. It's like, oh, well, you've got less CP, but you've got another unit. So, what if I was spending CP?
There's a 100-point decrease just across the key units.
It doesn't matter that you have 5 less CP, because most Marine players were ending the game on 9 spare CP. They didn't need that much anyway. They just had it.
And what the unit means you don't have to spend CP. What if you spend the CP on redrawing a card, because this turn you want to activate all your guns and have a fight phase, you don't want to do containment, but now you've got a unit to do containment.
Well, if I offered you free CP or a unit of heavy intercessors, what would you take?
Heavy intercessors. That's
what you get.
I'd probably take a unit of Nurglings over a free CP.
Yeah, but that's what you get if you look at aggressors, heavy intercessors, jump captain, Vanguard vets, Hellblasters, Calgar, and Guilliman. You get, for that same list, you now get another unit of heavy intercessors.
It's ridiculous. We'll have a rant at the end when we come to summarise it, but I have opinions as to this.
For me as well, Will, I'm shocked that these guys kept +1 to wound. I don't think these guys still had +1 to wound double oath.
Double oath with +1 to wound. I think they needed the CP and a few points increases to maybe have a little bit less stuff. And then I think we'll be talking. I know this is a weird thing coming from a Death Guard channel at the moment. We are the apex predator. But we're talking from a sort of, we didn't just buy our Death Guard armies yesterday because the Codex got good. Me, Aiden and Dave, we were D for Death Guard tier guys. So we were rocking this shit. So like we're talking from like game balance point of view.
Even you saying that though, Will, we also sat here and wished that we got nerfed in this data slate because we want to be able to play.
That was yesterday's episode.
Points. Yeah, we expected it and we kind of hoped we'd get today. We knew we wouldn't get nerfed today because they're going to say
just rip the bandage off. Like I'd rather just have my list 100 points less if that's what it's going to be, and not play with the list that like that I get good with, and then I have to all of a sudden change it, like the Defiler thing. I know it's not points, but like I've got to change my list now unexpectedly, and it's kind of irritating. Whereas when I've got it up with 100 points, just do it now, and I'll just write the list or work out the list now, and I don't have to like reshuffle in 3 months' time or whenever it is. It's that's our point of view as we talked about yesterday, but. Yeah, they've buffed Ultramarines. This isn't a nerf. This is a buff to one of the armies that was already in A tier solidly. If we're the top of A tier, they were probably second top of A tier. And probably might even have just jumped above us.
I think we should. As
Chuck in chat said real quick as well, they also didn't fix the captain and Gilliman interaction, where both of them have a free strat rule, but because they have different names, you can still use both of them, so they can still get 2-3 stratagems a turn.
Which is still way more than everyone else is getting.
Mm-hmm.
I just to be off this briefly, and I don't want to go into depth because we know the bit. I just hope that the people who deal with balance don't go win a super major with this list, because I know it might not be that person individually, because I think GW don't listen to that person, but it is terrible optics. So I really hope that doesn't happen. But anyway, we can skip past that.
Should we talk about the other Space Marine boys in red that are probably about to be the other people who are about to jump up the meta?
Okay, so Blood Angels again have a low win rate, but they was actually still doing well in events. Now, the problem that people had with them is that the best Blood Angels builds with Bloodless Angels, where you're not really taking any Blood Angels specific units. So that people are spamming like 18 Blade Guard, which are really cheap at the moment. So they've decreased points on some Blood Angels unit. Now, some of these I'm actually cool with, like Blood Angels Death Company Dreadnought. Yep, totally. No one was playing it. Excellent. Dante, not sure. A lot of people were using Dante, but he's not the most obnoxious thing in the world. I can let 10 points slide. Baal Predator, sure, fine. Mephiston, okay. Sanguinary Priest, yep, sure. Even the Death Company with jump packs, don't mind that. Sangard dropped 20 points.
I think they needed a drop because I think they were over points, but they've gone too far. That's the problem that they've done here. I think 10 points would have been fine. Try 10 points. If you still think they need more, go to 20.
This is what we were advocating for yesterday with Death Shroud, wasn't it? We said go up 10. Yep. If it's still bullshit, put another 10 on. But now you do this. So the problem is we've got Blood Angels getting 20 points off every single Sanguinary Guard unit. So that's straight up for the people that were in 3 of 3. That is 60 points.
Yep.
Now, normal Marines also got the jump captain went down in points. I can't remember how many by. Let me go have a quick check for myself. He's gone down 10 points, and they usually led those squads. So actually, those squads have all come down 30 points. And Dante went down, who normally is the third one, 10 points. So actually, they've now got 90 points extra. A lot of Blood Angels lists were also running Vanguard veterans, who have also just dropped 15 points. So now we're looking at Blood Angels potentially getting near to like 150-ish points.
And considering another unit of 3 Sangard is 110, or if you've got a 3 already and you want to push it up to a bigger, you're not very far off doing that with all those points you just saved.
They needed something, Blood Angels. Now, I don't think any of us are upset that they got something. They got a bit too much.
No, not at all.
But this is one of the things. This is a data slate. This isn't a balanced data slate. The word balance is very misleading in this data slate. This is a game shake-up data slate. It hasn't balanced anything. It's created more unbalance than there was before it came out. And I think that this data slate is starting to do that, especially with the new detachments thrown in. It's like, well, you can't balance a game to existing what's there. Like Mordaka came in a balanced data slate. It's like the word balance should be the emphasis. So yeah, I think GW maybe need to remind themselves of that.
I think someone's just thrown a haywire grenade into the meta is what's happened.
yeah. I mean, it's good that the game shakes up.
It's going to make the game really. The one thing I'll say is the game is about to get real interesting out there.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. We all like to have sort of things to change and reasons to talk about. WhatsApp chats to sort of chat in and podcasts to listen to, but still at the same time, like as a company, Games Workshop sort of. We'll save to the end, but like I think a lot of this stuff is aimed to sell models, not to balance the game. I think game balance comes last. I think they look at what sells, what they've got in the warehouse, and I think that's what these rules are. I think it's rules do sell models. Put it this way: try and buy some Zangor Enlightened at the moment.
Also, thank you
could
very
buy
much
them everywhere.
It's very quickly. Thank you very much to Mr. Strongboy. There it was. Yeah, Mr. Strongboy. I played the Ultramarine crap every week for 3 months. I feel sorry for you. It's not going away. Put it that way. Unfortunately. So yeah, I mean, the one thing this does say to me as well is that because Blood Angels are going cheap, and now we've seen Space Wolves, we don't have the full points yet for them. But if we assume they're roughly the same and don't go crazy on them, we now have, and here's the thing as well, with the Blood Angels here, who are already spamming 18 Blade Guard in some builds. Sanguinary are now cheaper. Vanguard Vets are now cheaper. All of them units have a 4+ invulnerable. All of them can be very fast and melee. My concern is that this becomes the new pressure melee meta. Because if Space Wolves have access to Wolfen, who have higher than toughness 4, they have 4 up invulnerables, multiple 3+ wounds. They also have Thunderwolf Steel, which can also take Storm Shields. So now they've got like extra, like 5 wounds each, something like that. It's good speed. I'm worried that we're going to head into a meta where we just have far too cheap, efficient 4 up invulnerable units. I'm not saying they're going to hit super hard and kill everyone, even though Blood Angels do hit hard and stuff. But the problem is like, I'm worried that it's going to become a meta where it's first turn, just because I played against EC quite a bit, and the pressure on top of you is quite hard to deal with sometimes. And with the new deck of cards, actions are kind of less important. You don't need to worry about protecting recover assets and things like that. And you can play to kill your opponent early, not to worry about score, because if you fall behind the score, you just challenge your card your way back into it, and then you basically just murderize your opponent and focus on that and score later. So I'm kind of worried that we might see like a melee. Now, Death Guard traditionally don't worry about that, but again, when we're talking about this, I talk about it for the health of the game, because one of our army that got huge changes, we'll talk about very quickly, is Tau. Tau have been struggling. I know we all rag on Tau and all we all don't like Tau, but the fact of the matter is Tau is an army that has a player base, and they should be able to play the game and have fun.
Yeah, sure.
100%.
It's also a very particular playstyle.
It is
in the whole game. It's not that similar to a lot of other things. So you're right. It's got a fan base, and they want to be able to play.
Yeah. So I am kind of concerned that even though they've got all these buffs, which is awesome, if these guys run into this sort of like meta of everyone just like rushing you down with 4 up invulnerables, I worry that Tau could just literally get run over. Now, I think in the upcoming meta, one thing I'm probably going to have to do with our list is I think having at least 2 units of Poxwalkers. I feel like you're going to need Infiltrate. You have to have Infiltrator screens.
In the game, I think you have to have it now.
I think you had to have 2 units of Poxwalkers anyway, but I think now they have more of a role, and the 3rd unit of Poxwalkers has got a lot more value, because the first 2 you had are already there, whereas the 3rd one might just be to screen the board. Like there is going to be instances where you just literally you measure, say 7 inches from the board edge, so obviously because to cut the curve off, 9 inches from your deployment zone, and you just make a line with them 2 inches just to keep your opponent in their deployment zone turn 1, and then you start the game 60 points down because they killed some Poxwalkers. But where they started the game, they didn't start just outside your deployment, and you stopped them from being able to jump on you. I think that's something that we're going to have to sort of look at now from what which is sort of backing up what you said there, I think.
Because I mean, if the problem with being rushed down by Emperor's Children was manageable because they don't have invulns and everything, so I could guarantee kill them. I put -1 save on, I jump out some Plague I shoot them to death. Everything is dead. Everything dies. Like, that's fine. I'm worried though because the 4 up invulnerable is very spiky, and we've all had that turn. We've all played that game against Custodes where someone just passes all the 4 up invulnerables, and like, especially with like heavy blight launch and stuff, the second they get tagged, they're kind of useless. Like, they don't really help you out that much, especially when stuff's in combat. Now, I don't think this is really a Death Guard problem. I think we can just, if the meta becomes that, we just switch to like putting a 6-man Death Shroud on the board, and then just be like, come on, bring it. Play champions if you want, yeah. Or even just like, play champions, have Plague Marine squads with on-demand fight first, have some foul blight spawns. I think there's lots of like ways for us.
We've got loads of ways to deal with it.
Yeah, so I'm not worried particularly for us to deal with it, but I do worry if that's the way the game is going to go, in no sense, because we also seen, like I said, Blue Angels, Space Wolves, EC can still do that. They're just a little bit worse at it. But I do wonder if that's going to be a thing. I mean, we've also got Dark Angels. They've got to change. The Lion got massively buffed. The Lion now. Uppy Downy boy.
He didn't need it.
The Lion's a weird one, but he's also now got that when they have a new detachment. But the Lion also has mini transhuman, where the strength, higher than toughness. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
-1 to wound.
Yeah, so the bodyguard rule.
Yeah, so
thing,
he can get that. He has that. Sorry, his entire army can also get that for infantry mounted units. And now for Dark Angels and their new detachment. Deathwing Knights, I think, will be quite a big thing, and I think it's going to almost be our job to keep that build in check, and it might be the one thing that keeps it out from being really strong in the meta, because Deathwing Knights with -1 damage permanently, -1 to wound permanently, for a lot of armies, is going to be real hard, especially when they can when they can advance and charge, when they can charge in your opponent's charge phase. We do have answers for that though. I'm not scared about that. Like Death Shroud on the charge with Lance Sweep. -1
58
save.
Attacks.
Yeah,
re-rolling.
Sustained. You can go champions, get crit fire.
Grenades, flamers,
you probably want to be in champions, don't you, in that one? Because then you get a good trade. Because your 3 men then sort of trading. Because as soon as you have to go up the 6 men, you kind of you'll do it once, and then you'll they're going to have guns still, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? They're still going to be able to pick the 6 man up once it's sort of stood out and killed one squad.
I don't know. I think Deathlord's chosen into these guys would actually be really good with Mortarion, reactive moves, fight on death, mortal wounds everywhere.
That's a good point.
It would actually be really powerful into this. I mean, and if you saw, I mean, I think if we end up in a melee meta, Death Guard is going to be sat right on the top of the pile. I think.
Oh, it's a fair point. Yeah, I think that does make sense, because we've pivoted more towards shooting. I think with the sort of the book coming out and the heavy bright lords and Tyrant's Hammer being as good as it is. But I think you're right. If we want to pivot and we want to go back to shutting down a combat phase, we can still do it. We just have to sort of build at the expense of other things. The only annoying thing with it is that the Foul Blight spawns fight first is a once per game thing, so you can bait it out much easier. But in Champions of Contagion, you can be sort of tactical with where you use it and things like that, and reuse it for CP a second time.
Well, this is a bit I want to pivot into is we're trying to pivot into talk about pivoting, because if the melee meta does come down, and I do believe it will, because here's the thing, like Death Guard is very strong, but I do believe like Blue Angels getting a massive boost, Space Wolves coming out, there's going to be a lot of people doing these precious, and I think a lot of the armies in the game are going to struggle into those kind of lists. And again, when we talk about balanced data slates, we don't just talk about Death Guard, we have to talk about the meta overall. But if that does happen, I do think you're right. But what an interesting thing is what you just said there, Will. I do think if this happens, the Mortarian's hammer builds kind of fall away a little bit. Because you can't just have a tank gun line that gets, rushed down. Quite like you don't want that. Now it's not too bad because obviously normal bloat drones are still good into that meta because they can fall back, tag stuff, be a pain in the ass. But I do think it may incentivize other builds to come out, which would be really cool to see. -1 damage is going to be real big. All those Sandguard 2 damage, Deathwing Knights 2 damage, like -1 damage if you want Vectorum, still going to be mega. That is still going to be really, really, really huge. So that's not going to change. Now. I'm interested in seeing though what happens with, like you say, Deathlord's Chosen, what also happens with Champions of Contagion, because on-demand fight first is one hell of a drug to go against those guys.
Definitely.
Because I mean, yeah. What do you guys think? Do you think the hierarchy of our detachments is going to change if that's the sort of shift we're going to the meta?
I also just to throw another out. There is also more Tyrant's Hammer build that we could pivot into, because we could do the meme ourselves and put a 20-man Poxwalk in or a couple, and then go right. Okay, we get first. I'll bock you in deployment and put 3 PPCs behind. I think it's a bit of a meme build, probably more of a teams build, but I think that's another way to counter that, way you can hold them back and go right. Okay, I'm going to beat you at your own game. I'm going to hold you back. To do a turn or two of PBCs before you get to me, and then when you get to me, like you said, then have a couple of fight first.
By the way, Taliban does it really well as well, because you just drop, like, if you look at that deployment video that I showed earlier to you guys for my game, that was with 2 units of 6 Nurglings. I got first turn, whack 6 across the middle of the board. There was only a corner he could put one side of his infiltrators into, but couldn't put them out because the unit couldn't fit in the space. I put another 6 Nurglings down. I just jailed him turn 1, and then I basically moved where I wanted to, then put a Demon Prince out, deep struck 2 Great Unclean Ones 6 inches away from them. He picked up some Nurglings. I 1 CP, put them back into strategic reserve. Turn 2, they were back on the table in front of my Poxwalkers that were sat on the middle. Like, it's you.
Oh, I've lost.
Basically, pen them in. You pen them in, and then just go in. It's like the Taliban can do it as well. Like you're right there, Will. Like you could just take 2 units of 20 Poxwalkers for 100, for a couple of points, and you could jail anybody or just stop.
Yeah, I mean, it's back to niche builds and relying on going first to sort of stop it. And I think as soon as you've got a strategy where you need to deploy the first unit, I think, because that's the problem with these jail builds, is the other side you can stop an infiltrate.
Yeah, but you also don't. But that's Death Call. We don't even need to play a jail build. Like if a Blood Angel player sends a load of stuff across the board, yes, it's going to be a pain in the arse turn 1 because I'm not going to get on the middle or something. But I'll just kill whatever he sends into me eventually, So I'm not that concerned to it. And you're right. You could also, whilst Mortarian's Hammer is good, I think it'll become less important in melee.
I mean, the Mortarian's Hammer is just an example of I don't think that could be. I think it's just a way.
Blood Angels could just fly across the board and tag a load of vehicles, and if that happens, then that's a real that stops that whole detachment doing a lot of stuff because you're not even able to put stuff into contagion because everything's in your face.
I mean, I think the point is more: does the question come because those armies, as much as they attack you, they're also staging. Does a couple of PBCs all of a sudden make a bit more sense where you can, as soon as you can pick up the Sandguard behind the wall, and even if you kill half the squad, the other half doesn't do as much when you get there, and then all the stuff that Aiden was alluding to, which is I think definitely the better way to do it, the fight first. And
some of the commentary in chats also good. I mean, actually, also moving into that to what you're talking about there, Will, about different units maybe becoming more prominent, is Blightlord Terminators might actually become a bit more useful because not only have they got flamers, the autocannons, they've got combi weapons for mortal wounds. They have got 2 damage on their attack. They do have a sweep, whilst it isn't as high as Death Shroud. There is a lot of attacks in there. They can get full rerolls to wound on ranged with the Lord of Virulence. There's another flamer if you put him in there. That's a big unit to do stuff. So it could be interesting to see how it shakes out. I think you're right there. If we look at Blood Angels, Space Wolves, Emperor's Children, loads more Ultramarines on the table. It feels like there's potentially going to be a lot more
if they want to as well. I mean, let's not forget that World Eaters are secretly better than people give them credit for. I mean, it's not the World Eaters of old, but like it's no joke how fast those spawn go and how hard they hit when they get there. But yeah,
I mean, I'd also like to. I think as well, one thing I'm looking at specifically for my builds is I'm definitely going to be putting a Predator Destructor back in because if I'm going to get met with so much 4+ invulnerable spam, I know it sounds counterintuitive to be like, why would you want to bring something that puts extra AP on stuff? It's because I want my mass shot things like my Plague Spurt Gauntlets and my Flamers to guarantee put someone on an invuln. Because if I can make those Plague Spurt Gauntlets AP2, then even if an Armor Contempt comes in on like a Blade Guard Veteran Squad, I can still spray them away. If they come into if they come into like 2-up save and stuff, I can at least put them to their invuln. And also the Predator is less susceptible to getting tagged and just be useless like the bloat drones are because they can still at least shoot the unit that they're in combat with. So I think Pred's probably going to come back out. I should never have took them out, to be honest. They are very, very good. And I think the bloat drone I might drop down to 2 potentially because I don't want them getting tagged and being absolutely useless. Or if I use them, it's going to be much more backline, I'll tell you that for sure. But let's not stop there because there's one more army I want to just talk about very specifically. Which is
I know what you're going to talk about.
certain favourite of certain summons, Necrons. So Necrons.
There is another one worth talking about. Actually,
is it Sisters? Sisters are going to be back. I think. Necrons.
I think there's maybe one more as well. I think. I think Admech is potentially quite interesting as well.
Okay.
Well, let's do Necrons because us me and Aiden have got a particular one of my nemesis, although he's not nemesis, he's one of my good friends. But
nemesis, nemesis.
With Necrons. So from all the armies that got like
hold on. Actually, before you start, hang on. Yeah, everybody in chat, are you aware that what we're about to go into here is Jesus Christ? Will, did someone just throw a spear at you?
Just keep Christmas wrapping up. That's fine.
That is so weird. Of all the random things I thought was going to happen today, it wasn't that Will was going to be attacked by Christmas wrapping paper.
I have no idea what was falling down.
No, sorry, just going to say to chat, everybody just go and get a drink if you need to. Go and sit down, get a comfy chair, get a nice cushion, because we've got Necrons on screen and Aiden's just started talking. So buckle in.
I'm fine. I'm not going to lose my mind.
Chill out, mate. Chill out.
I'm fine. So Necrons.
You caused an earthquake in my house. That's how angry
See, that's what happened. You started talking about Necrons and Will's house started falling apart.
It's fine. So Necrons. Okay, Necrons. Necrons have been good since the book came out. They were even good in Index. So Necrons have always been solid. They've had multiple.
You said Necrons 9 times in the first 10 seconds of talking.
The Necrons have had multiple viable builds. Star Shatter's still really good. Awakened Dynasty's been really good as well. And a lot of those lists had gone back to an old favourite unit, which was the Canoptek Wraiths plus Technomancer. You've seen quite often at least a single 6-man squad with a Technomancer in there. It's a very annoying, got decent OC, hard to kill, resurrects a lot. You really have to kill it. Like, you really have to focus on killing it to bring that thing down. So they were quite common. And GW, who has in the past, when Canoptek Court came out, for example, Canoptek Court, I don't know if you guys played against it, is one of the most miserable fucking experiences I've ever played against. Because...
Yeah, I played it loads.
We've
played the same.
It's nearly impossible to kill. And it doesn't even kill you that fast, so it just becomes absolutely, like, boring. And you just slowly watch yourself die. So, GW, despite Necrons doing pretty well in their infinite wisdom, they watched the Dataslate happen, and just like the Blueberry Boy Scouts, and this for some reason again happens here every time, decided Necrons, once again, need a change. They need some buffs. Those poor bastards haven't had their name on the golden lights in a while.
They're the army with the fourth best win rate in the game, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, listen to stats checks. They were fourth of all the armies, of all the oppressive armies, including us, including Eldar. Necrons were fourth.
Yeah.
If you're fourth best in the game, do you need a buff?
So, here's the thing. Let's look at Emperor's Children. We nerfed all the good units, and then we didn't buff the bad units. Now, if this Necron slate was to say to me, Aiden, we've nerfed fucking DDAs back to being like what they were before we buffed them for some fucking reason, and then I've decided to go out and I've decided to drop 5 points of Triac Praetorians because no one's really playing with those things, I'd be like, okay, fair enough, makes sense. Ophidian Destroyers, 5 points off. Okay, sure thing. Aiden, we're going to drop Canoptek Wraiths down in points. We're also going to drop the Technomancer down in points. Pardon? Like,
I mean, all I can say is, I bet if we go to all the online stores and Games Workshop, I bet they're all in stock. I bet they've got loads of stock in their warehouse, and it's just a cash grab. Like that's my impression of some of these Dataslate decisions. I think
the Doomstalk has also come down. Like. And then we got like Illuminor Ceres has come down. Oh, by the way, just really funny. Like this was all these units were taken in a certain list that was very popular before Canoptek Court got nerfed. Because they had Illuminor Ceres in there, they had triple Doomstalker, they had triple Wraith, triple Technomancer, and they even had some Plasmancers to go with some Immortals. Just fucking coincidence, that, isn't it? So once again, I'm going to rephrase what Will said before, and I hope it's not true because I don't also believe he's fully responsible. But please, if you're out there, you know who you are. Please don't pick up this army and go and win a fucking super mage of it because the optics on it are fucking awful. It looks
terrible for the company. It looks terrible for what that role's meant to be. Like, I understand if I actually think Games Workshop don't listen to said person.
No, I don't think they do.
I've met him in real life. I think it's Games Workshop. Listen and go, that makes sense. Yeah, they are a bit strong, but we've got loads of stock in the warehouse, so we're gonna drop the points. That's what I think they do.
Yeah.
In all honesty,
guys, you get one more minute. You get one more minute on Necrons, and we're moving on.
Okay, so they put 5 points on individual locust. They put 10 points on a Scorpec Lord, which I thought was a cool techie piece actually. 15 points on the Four Up Feel No Pain. Okay, fair enough. Four Up Feel No Pain is a bit dumb. It's an annoying thing to go against, but like, I just don't get, like, they are without doubt the most hated thing I've ever faced was the Wraith Bricks with a Technomancer. Why, out of anything in that book, you could have dropped the fucking Ghost Knight, you could have dropped the Croissants, the Croissant Flyers.
Yeah, you never see the Croissants. Bring the Croissants down 20 points.
Back. Bring out, maybe even like
seconds.
anything like that. But please stop buffing these dumb fucking units. Stop making silver morons like just better. I'm so sick because I'd never have fun playing against Necrons. I'm sorry, Andy. I love you, Andy, to this, but I hate playing against Necrons. No, but if he ever is,
if he was, I'm going to jump in chat and just start slagging him off.
I don't think anyone has ever said I've had a fun game against Necrons. Like, it just doesn't happen.
Okay, time up, everybody.
Okay,
moving on.
We're moving on.
Aiden, you do know, right? You haven't sworn in probably the last 5 or 6 streams, and you swore 6 times during that one talk about Necrons.
Fuck.
7. 7, good. You made it the right number. Let's move on.
I share the sentiment. There we go. I'd say that.
Right, you get one more pick each, guys. What do you want to go to?
Do you want to pick one, Will?
I think Sisters. I mean, I'm saying some of this stuff because I haven't deep dived this today, but Sisters were one of the ones that people were sort of saying in our chat were a bit kind of like,
why is Paragon lawsuits coming down in points? Paragon lawsuits are already in every list. Why? Again. I don't get it.
Did they have core changes as well? Was there anything? I'm just sort of trying to score.
One of their detachments, their Grobus detachment, no longer requires Miracle Dice to make work. I think they just pick 2 units now, which is good. Like that's fine, totally like that. The main problem, like some of the units have come down in points, which are totally fine with, like Junith, Arutus, whoever she is. Retributor's fine, Seraphim even fine, but like Castigators, Immolators, and Paragons all came down at the same time. The unholy trio that made Bringers of Flame miserable have all came down. Now, I don't want to rag too hard because unlike Necrons, Sisters actually weren't doing too great. But we talk about the risks of maybe buffing too many things at once. So here you've already given them a massive detachment buff. You've then already given like points drops on already good units. I do worry if that is is that a bit much? Val is the problem, 100%.
Val is the problem.
Valgons are the problem, not Paragon Warsuits. So maybe that's the idea. But the problem is people just run the Valgon. So even though, yes, you are right, the Paragons... Like, if you would have dropped 10 off Paragon and then added 10 to Val, that would make sense. Because then the Valgon unit is still the same cost, but the non-Valgon unit isn't the same cost and has actually gone down. That's called logic, people. But instead, we're just going to drop them 10 points. So, that's a little annoying. But again, it's just little things like if you're worried, if Valgons, you're like, oh, Valgon's too strong, but no, Paragons aren't, then drop Paragons, raise Val. It's not hard maths, guys. It's not hard logic. But it is what it is. Yes, sorry, Lazy DM. I will do that. I need to let me have a look. See if we can do that right now. Someone else talk about Sisters before I go on one. That's how you do it.
I mean, I'm just trying to look at this. There was something else I was just wanting to check as well. So I'm just the Sisters one. I don't know. Like, I don't know much about. I just know it was something that people in our chat were sort of kind of saying that like Sisters are back kind of thing. I don't know. I mean, they're not as egregious as other stuff. I mean, I guess it's points where they maybe were a bit like hit hard early doors. But I think the main thing to sort of like. I think the main thing to sort of thing with Sisters is to be aware that they're back. Like, you might start seeing them on tables again, and it sort of being like more of a force to be reckoned with. Like, Sisters Evolved maybe aren't quite there, but it wouldn't surprise me if they win a couple of GTs. I think is the
I'm not against these buffs, by the way, because Sisters, like I said, unlike some of the armies, genuinely were struggling. So I'm totally fine with that.
Sisters were hit really hard. Like,
Sisters got hit super hard, and everyone stopped playing them, and you haven't seen them on the table. I used to see them pretty frequently back in in GTs a year and a bit ago, but like then everyone's dropped them. So I think perhaps. If it's too far, we'll see. But I think if you're a Sisters player, this is going to be good because hopefully you'll get your army back off the shelf and put it on the table again.
Yeah, I think it's a positive change for Sisters players. I mean, nothing seems too egregious. There's stuff in there that I think is maybe like unneeded, but at the same time, as you said, that because they were so unused, if they get used again, if there's problems, maybe there's a sweet spot. And maybe the next time they'll get it if this isn't the sweet spot that they've just found.
The one thing I'll also add is that it's a good thing to get a bigger mix of factions at events. So if this gets more Sisters players on the table and they start to make up more of the tables, it means we're not just seeing tons of Space Wolves, tons of Blood Angels, and tons of Ultramarines.
Yeah,
it's a good thing if people get their armies back out and get them on the table.
Yeah, definitely.
Very quickly, thank you very much to Liam T, £5 super chat. This behaviour by staff isn't new. You used to be able to tell if a new AOS book was broken based on whether Ben Johnson was painting it pre-release. And some point out, or if Aiden was painting Demon Prince. I actually genuinely didn't know about the Demon Prince rules at that point when I bought him. I just genuinely hazarded a guess. But so we've had in chat, people will let them pick the last one because they want us quickly to talk about CSM, specifically Vashtor and Lord Discordant. So the Lord Discordant for me is it's a double-edged sword. One, I'm very happy to see them willing to change data sheets for units that are just bad. Two, maybe a little much, guys. So not only have they changed its movement speed up to 14, they gave him a better invulnerable up to 4 up invulnerable because the game needed more 4 up invulnerables. They changed his ability where basically he just gets to doom bolt vehicles within 12, just because. So that's a bit scary. He also gets to now give his entire army the ability to select a visible enemy unit, and anything from his army targets unit gets a wound reroll of 1, so it's like a mini Lord of Virulence. So he doom bolts, he has a mini Lord of Virulence, he's now moves 14, he's got a 4 up invulnerable, and they've changed him to have 5 attacks at strength 8, AP 3, and 3 damage each. Like, that is a lot of buffs at once. That is a crazy amount of buffs at once. Now, I'm very happy to see them willing to go, this data sheet sucks, let's rewrite it. Whether they went a bit far, I'm not sure. What do you guys think? Do you reckon, like, this is too many changes to a data sheet, or would you rather see this where they basically just burn it to the ground and start new?
What's his points? Do you know off the top of your head?
I think he's the same that he was, so he's not changed on points for sure.
I think with those points, he was a terrible unit. I know that.
He was.
So I think it depends on how far he was from what his points are. I think is the thing that with that one, because all those things that we've read through, they're pretty strong, but like it's still we've pretty much just described the Demon Prince with fast move, and he is still on a bigger base, so it's not like egregious. Like, it's more like, do his points reflect it though? If he's like 150 points, and no, they've gone too far. But if he's like, I don't know, 100 and...
Okay, Don says he was 195. So if he's 195, fair enough.
That's what I mean. 195, 200. Like, that's kind of it. Basically made it so his rules reflect his points and what the model's meant to be. So I don't mind that. I think he was just very badly written in the original rules. But I would say with them though, it's nice that they're doing that, but like if you're gonna do it with like every army. Like, unless every army's gonna get another one of these attachments in a data slate, and then we'll all, everything will have its turn. But yeah, like, why pick on that model when CSM are inherently fine in my opinions? I know that maybe some dire players would like tweaks, but they're a very playable army. There's lots of different ways to play them. Like, after we've had the points that we were acknowledging from yesterday's episode that we needed, I hope our book ends up where CSM's is. Like, it's still very playable. There's still lots of things to flex into, and there's still like, it's still very functional. That's kind of, I think they've kind of found the sweet spot there. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. The Lord of Discordant one's weird. The one I was going to mention quickly.
So just on the, before you do, Will, you jump onto that one. Say the weird thing about the Lord Discordant rule as well is that at the start of your shooting phase, roll a dice. There's no, if you roll a 1, you take any damage. It's just 2 to 3, D3 mortal wounds, 4 to 5, 3 mortal wounds, 6, D3 plus 3. No problem for taking for rolling a 1.
What happens on a 1?
Presumably that's just an FAQ. I was going to say the other thing, because the most egregious thing in the game is the Fade Thirster. The Fade Thirster's enhancement going to 15 points. I feel like that didn't fix anything.
No.
Unless there's a second part of it that I've missed, I feel like
it's the Nurgle.
It's the interaction on a whole that needs a change there. Or if it goes in points, it has to go up a lot more than that for it to be meaningful. Yeah. Like, that interaction is such a silly interaction, and 15 points doesn't fix it. Like, it's, if they made the enhancement 35 points more, even then you'd still see it in every list. But at least it's more of a kind of like we have to maybe lose some or shuffle the list around to accommodate it. Like, I think that's a complete miss in my opinion, or they should have reworded it somehow. I don't know, but I think that was a bit of a swing and miss from them, if I'm honest.
Yeah, that's fair. And then the other great unit is Vashtor. Now the one thing this is
end on that one.
Yeah, London Vashtor. So the one thing that makes this interesting for me is the CSM Demon Prince and Vashtor got retroactively given the same ability every other Demon Prince has, which is the 3 inches of an infantry they get blown up. Which says, now actually this guy, Vashtor is a vehicle, makes sense. This to me actually tells me quite a bit about how they write codexes, because if they wrote all the codexes roughly in the same time or in the same mindset, this would have been in from the start. Because you'd have gone, okay, Demon Princes, every faction has them, what we're going to make sure they all get. And be like, no, okay, cool, yeah. So this tells me there's probably a bigger gap between them actually writing codexes than we actually may think. And they clearly don't seem to reference each other too often or think ahead when they're doing it. I don't think an edition starts with all codexes written and then they just decide to release them at certain points, which is interesting to think about and a bit wild, which probably does mean that power creep does react to the meta and does react to how the game's going and is not just written ahead of time. But he's also got he's got Loan Up now. He also has, each time an enemy unit with 18 of him targets him, subtract 1 from the hit roll, which again, weird because he's also got the Loan Up, but sure. And the enemy range weapon has Hazardous, so if he's getting shot, they're going to have to potentially kill themselves and be -1 to hit. Cool. Next one, he gets a new ability. Is an aura. While a friendly demon vehicle is within 6 of the model, add 2 to the strength characteristic of weapons. That's actually scary. Like,
quite good.
That's now Forge Fiend's Plasma is now strength. Is that a 9 base?
11 on an overcharge.
Oh, I can't, but it takes up to a good strength, put it that way. There's a lot of things that's going to hit good breakpoints for in CSM. So that's actually kind of scary to have like +2 strength. Like, it's more impactful than you think. I mean, +2 toughness is really good. It's just the opposite of that. It's just +2 strength. So really good on that. He's also had his melee upgraded. He's now got AP3 on his smack. And he's also gone to 12 attacks on his sweep. Still with devastating wounds at 2 damage each. Anti-vehicle 4-up.
4-up.
Which is a little odd to me because he gains double the attacks as the strike. Only loses 1 damage, but the devastating and the anti is the same. So I'm pretty sure you just anti-sweep vehicles.
Sweep everything. Yeah, 100%.
You hit 10 times, you do average 5 4-ups, you do 10 more.
You're still hitting on 2s.
Yeah, like, that's really weird to me that, like, that's the same. Like, I'm pretty sure you just run into a vehicle and you 100% just sweep every time. Very strange.
The guys are saying things like strength 11 autocannons in Soul Forge. Forge Fiend cannon strength 12.
God, strength 16 Vindicators.
The strength 12 Forge Fiend is massive.
That's terrifying.
That is a huge breakpoint to hit strength 12 on that
strength
model.
7 bolters on Predators in Soul Forge.
I think Vashtor actually, this is genuinely like a good glow up. I think Vashtor gets a bit of play now.
Yeah, I'm sort of like, do I need to buy a Vashtor? I don't know, to sit on the flipping shelf of the built models, but like, he certainly sounds like he's got good all of a sudden.
Well, I bet his flame is still shit though.
We also had a super chat, which we from No Step on Snack, $5. Thank you very much. I think GW is open floodgates on power creep. Let things play out before nerfing the new codex is down to match the current power level. So another take on what could be going on.
I do wonder if this is the place we're going and like the new books are going to come out. Are we actually going to end up getting nerfed? I do wonder. We probably still need to.
Yeah, you might be right on that one.
But I do wonder.
Let's see, right? Like we've already seen here that they've gone. The things that we've just released are staying where they are, pretty much. They're, apart from Emperor's Children, when we've got a load of other stuff that's in the game has just points dropped, quite unilaterally, maybe to try and bring bits up. It feels a little bit where we were, right? Where we got points drops consistently to bring us kind of to make us competitive because we could field so much, not because it was great, but we could just put a ton of models on the table. And now it feels a little bit like we've gone power, and there's so a load of stuff around it has gone cheap to bring it up. So maybe the constant ebb and flow of the moon tide is power up, cheapen everything else, bring that stuff up, then power it up, cheapen the stuff that was there.
This is the opposite of what happened to us. Everyone else got good army and we got cheap. Oh, this is what the other side of the scale feels like. Oh, I get it now, Dave.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, we go. There we go. So yeah, look, loads of changes. I mean, I think with first.
It's going to be a different game.
Bristol's this weekend, isn't it? So it's too soon for any of that. Leeds is probably for the UK. Leeds Super Major is probably going to be the first one for new cards, probably new terrain layouts to accommodate potentially new cards, and a whole load of new rules and new codexes.
It's going to be wild.
It's going to be the Wild West out there.
I wonder if Knights might even be out because it's pre-order next
Nice,
week.
nice could be out.
No, the pre-order's this weekend, isn't it?
Oh shit, is it?
Yeah,
Chaos Knights will be out for that.
if
God.
they're out 2 weeks,
there's already
then
a few.
Go on it, Reese.
they'll be out 2 weeks ahead.
It's gonna be absolutely crazy these next few weeks. So we're here for it. We'll still be here after
It's gonna
it.
be good.
If we got nerfed to the ground, we'd still be here. Things are gonna get very hectic. So even though I do think some of these changes are stupid, and I'm sure people agree and think other things are stupid, like for us, like we are still in a really good place. Death Guard. We have options to fight into these, but
Still so strong.
I wish I could tell you what's going to work, but like, I genuinely think the Wild West has been unleashed. There's been so many changes to so many armies. Sisters might be the next meta thing. Tau might make a comeback. Svashtor might become the most feared name on the planet. Who knows? Or maybe it'll just be... I was going to say maybe it'll just be
the one that we've
Indicators
forgotten about. The other one we forgot about, by the way, NIDs have got serious as well. That new NIDs attachment is pretty good. It's probably a bit much to talk about now, but maybe we can unpack that on the next Tuesday episode. But that's something I think we're going to start seeing regularly, because the guy who's been playing Crush on our team and who's been crushing with it, he's really pivoting hard to that. And there's a few things in there that are like pretty insane, like the 1 TP strat where your whole army gets to reroll charges, like stuff like that's a bit nuts.
All I just wanted to add on was to Aiden's point there about all this changing stuff rapidly going on. It's just to bring it back to what we said at the beginning is, if you are a Death Guard player and you're a fan of the channel and you're not a member, then if you do join, being a Plague Marine is only $2.99 a month. It is less than the cost of a coffee. That gets you access to the Discord, and in that Discord is almost 1,200 people, Death Guard players with each of our detachments in channels who are going to be talking about, it's all well and good, like even us playing different detachments at a tournament and then coming and talking to you guys about it. But actually, by far the biggest volume of games being played into different people and people talking about their experiences is probably in our Discord, right? From a Death Guard perspective. So it's a really good reason for people to join. So if you are thinking about it, it's actually probably a really good time to jump in there and get the benefit of everybody's collective experience in the community.
Yeah, definitely.
And also,
go ahead. I was about to do that.
I'll do the gifty. You can do the donation then, Dave.
Go on then.
So thank you very much, Lazy Chicken, for the 1 gifty membership. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the support, helping the channel. Congratulations to Warrior TLA who got that one.
Nice. And Vincent, I will clearly you play Steg, and I will try and pronounce your surname, Giode. So a Death Shroud little nerf in the errata of the DG Codex, not mentioned in the Dataslate. How do we feel about that? I think, like we talked about at the beginning, we were expecting rapid ingress to probably, we were expecting rapid ingress to go away, right? So I think
I don't think it needed it particularly.
No. I mean, it didn't, and also I think I rarely used it. Played them all the time because just dropping them in 6 is enough. But it's not really a nerf, I don't think.
It's still fun.
And they didn't go up in points. So like actually, it doesn't really change how you're going to play them. So I don't think it's really a big worry.
The biggest
thank
loss
you very much
of the rapid ingress change was my video.
Yes, it was. Aiden's Aiden's time was the biggest loss there. But Vincent, thank you very much for your €6 super chat. We really appreciate it.
Excellent. So that'll sort of bring us to the end here then. We'll wrap up for now. We're not going to go over all the different detachments that the new army's got because that's a whole thing to break down. And there are channels out there for those armies that are well better suited to talk about it than us three Muppets on here. We just talk about our Death Guard guys. But yes, I don't think we need to despair. I think it's going to be an interesting meta. I would say maybe just how on the side an anti-pressure list just in case that becomes a very big thing.
Yeah, build an anti-infantry list in your app or in your whatever, or free agent or whatever you're using.
When talking about despair, I think remember is everyone is still despairing about Death Guard being the strongest army. I don't know if we are the strongest army in the game with Ultramarines and stuff like that, and some got coming around the corner. 1,000 Suns, we're going to see their win rate this weekend, and everything else that's coming. But don't forget we are. Pre-slate, we were top of 8 here, so if anything, we're in a position where we should be able to sort of deal with anything that's coming. People are worried about us as the predator, so I think that's the most important thing to sort of take away from it. This isn't where it's D for Death Guard 2, and it's like right, guys, just
As we'll say, the good thing is as well is if these armies do come at me and they're really strong, it does take the limelight off us because we are public enemy number 1 at the moment. And I would like to not be public enemy number 1 because I'm sick of everyone complaining about us. But given that we, made do with like a a fairly shitty index for a while. It got buffed a lot. Don't get me wrong, and it became good, but people seem to forget about that pretty quickly. It doesn't mean we should be overpowered, 100%, but like. The hate has been real strong for our army, and I'm glad to see maybe some armies come and take some of that away from us.
Yep, I think that's definitely the case. And look, and I think the other thing is, and this was proved all the way through index play, is we can flex we've got a good collection of data sheets, and we are able to flex to deal with different setups. So if we're in an even better place to do that now. So if the meta goes melee, woohoo! It's like, let's just see what happens.
Yep. We can do the toughness skews as good as anyone else with, great goers and great clean ones. And so we're in a good spot. We can do hordes. The Poxwalker attachment is viable if that's what you want to do. Obviously we've got various different ways to play elite. We can make good gun lines with more Tyrant Hammer. Like, this is the golden age of Death Guard. Is the thing to remember. And whatever comes at us, we can deal with it, which is, and especially, we don't know what's going to happen. Shout out to my boys this weekend, the Chaos Knights. Don't know what's going to happen with our allies. We might get some great ally options coming back at the weekend. So
Wardog will.
I have a drill. I have like a drill fucking fetish. If I see a drill weapon, I'm like, ooh, I like that. So I might have to get one. But yeah, so just very quickly before we wrap up, we'll do the 3 minute. I just want to have a very quickly. Just don't get into why you're taking it. Just very quickly, off the top of your head, for when we're going to Leeds. Will, what attachment are you taking or thinking of? Don't go into it, just say the attachment.
Champions of Contagion at the moment.
Cool. Will, so Dave.
Devil's Chosen.
Mine's Taliban, I think, at the moment, so that will be fun. Excellent. But right, let's do wrap up then. So, if I need to go and buy a Great Unclean One, which I actually do right now, because I have a Great Unclean One, I need a Rotagus, where can I get one?
You get one at Element Games. We have an affiliate link, so if you go there, it doesn't cost any more money. We get a little kickback. It's just something that's easy for you to do. Just go through the link, and then easy as that. Also, I mean, we've got Leeds coming up. There's lots of tournaments, or the meta's changing. If you want to get some coaching, and maybe you're sort of worried about a particular army that's getting strong, where might we get that coaching, Dave? What people are out there?
Click down into the description below this video and you can find a way to get some one-to-one coaching with Vanguard Tactics, a team that both Aiden and I play for. And Aiden is the Death Guard coach, so you can actually book some time directly with Aiden. If you just want to watch some great content, battle reports particularly, those guys have a load on their channel. They also have access to masterclasses you can buy into if you're really struggling in a meta or in a local area into a certain group or a certain army type. You can often find a solution to that there. And every year they open up an academy, which is a great way to kind of really level up your game on 40k. I'll just say a couple of other things. You can, if you support the channel and wear some merchandise and rock the brand, go to drpstore.com, all one word. There you can find hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, all that kind of stuff. And if you really want some dice to roll and support the channel, I'm not just saying it, they really are some lovely dice. Head to the Baron of Dice, link in the description as well.
And also, I'm just going to do a selfish plug here.
Yeah, go for it.
If anyone who lives in the north of England and you're around on the 19th and 20th of July, Element Games in Stockport, our team Stormhammer, is running a GT there. It's intended to be a 60-plus person event. I don't know if Aiden's planning to attend or not, but Aiden is also on the podium.
Give him a ticket now.
There you go.
I'll probably come.
Your ticket includes lunch, and it's a great venue. Element Games, you've never been there. It's a fantastic place. The gaming centre's massive, and there's lots of place to get nice food and things around it. So yeah, obviously get to come and meet us as well, which is really good. Tickets are available via the Element Games website, and you can use the affiliate link if you want a little kickback as well. And They're £55 for 2 days, and we always want to have as many Death Guard players there as possible. So I just want to do that selfish plug before we finish off the show.
No problem at all. Yeah, I'll probably be there for that one, Will. I just
want to say one more thing, which is just to remind everyone that on June the 17th, we will have the author Dan Abnett on the channel for an interview. So please tune in for that one. There will also be some signed book prizes.
Exactly. So I think that is everything for now, guys. So next stream will probably going to be a Plague Surgery, so get your lists in for that, guys. We'll go through as many as we can. I will now have to find a different video to make and upload because that Death Shroud one is going to have to get scrapped. So apologies, guys. But yeah, we will keep an endeavour to keep giving you guys the latest on all the Death Guard goodness. But thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in tonight. We will catch you all on the next stream. Can we get a final Nurgling shake, Mr. Will? Woo! But yeah, cheers everyone for tuning in. We will speak
comment,
to you all
subscribe
very soon, and we'll obviously have members
everyone
on the Discord. I might carry on my Necron rant there. So take care, everyone. Bye for now.
bye guys
Soon. What's up, my bro? Like, comment, subscribe.
In the shadow of decay I rise, Typhus the herald beneath poison skies. With nobles rot I lay walls to waste. The reaper's scythe, no life can escape. Beneath the flies, beneath the filth, I spread the plague with a twisted will. From festering wounds, corruption grows in the heart of death. God, where despair flows. I am the harbinger, the bringer of disease. In nobles' name I spread death with ease. Desolate walls with me hand in hand. Rivers of filth drown the land. I am Typhus, master of decay. In the name of ruin I claim the day. Light crumbles to dust. Wherever I tread, rot consumes the just. Space hulks reek of a foul rebirth. Carriers of plague across the cursed earth. Beneath the flies, beneath the filth, I spread the plague with a twisted will. From festering wounds, corruption grows in the heart of death. God, where despair flows. I am the harbinger, the bringer of disease. In nobles' name I spread death with ease. Desolate walls with me hand in hand. Rivers of filth drown the land. I am Typhus, master of decay. In the name of ruin I claim the day. The Imperium's light crumbles to dust. Wherever I tread, rot consumes the just. Space hulks reek of a foul rebirth. Carriers of plague across the cursed earth. Beneath the flies, beneath the filth, I spread the plague with a twisted will. From festering wounds, corruption grows in the heart of death. God, where despair flows. I am the harbinger, the bringer of disease. In nobles' name I spread death with ease. Desolate walls with me hand in hand. Rivers of filth drown the land. I am Typhus, master of decay. In the name of ruin I claim the day. Language howl, beguiling walls. Desolate tides, new life is born. Knuckles piercing, a twisted place. I erase your heart in my cold embrace. Fear the plague fleet, fear the end. No salvation, no let to defend. I am Typhus, reaper of dread. Bow to Nurgle,